Hello everybody and welcome back to the RORSRPS Season 2 Qualifier. My name is Preston Vieira and we're getting right back into it tonight with two more insane racing brackets. Remember, you can join in the tour placement voting process for this week's qualifiers by heading over to the RORSRPS Instagram this weekend once all of our qualifiers for the week are in. That's at RORSRPS. Drop a follow and keep an eye on my story this Saturday. Every vote counts, and as usual, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed tonight's event and want to keep up with qualifiers or catch the soon-to-come Season 2, featuring 3 Tours of Chaos and a new larger total of 48 main field trucks. But here on YouTube, you're only getting half the RORSRPS experience. Don't forget to head over to Instagram this weekend and join in the fun. Your tour placements will dictate our champions for Season 2. Now, though, it's time to find our picks for tonight's event, and for our first event, we'll be spinning the reuse wheel and joining those trucks in with the requests that we have from the RORSRPS Instagram, and we're going to jump right into it here in just a second, spinning our first wheel of the night, the reuse wheel, and finding our first competitors for our first bracket. Deja Vu 2021 is coming back once again. We haven't seen him in a little bit, but he's going to give it a good shot. MonsterMut, Terminal Velocity also coming back. Terminal Velocity not having much luck on this track. Speaking of not having much luck on the track, 106.7, the Fox is back. War Wizard is taking a spin here on the track once again. We haven't seen him for a little bit. Same for Rzone Defender, taking another shot. And Superman is back once again as well. Good to see him. And Shock Therapy. Love that awesome Shock Therapy truck. And that is going to do it for our reuses this time around. We're going to shuffle up our full bracket here, including the requests, and see our official bracket here. These are the lineup that is going to lead to our matchups for round one. And speaking of round one, let's take a look at it here. As Rzone Defender is going to kick us off, facing off against MonsterMut. Thunder Chicken is here. He's going to take on FastMetal. Terminal Velocity is going to face off against Superman, while Jetix takes on Deja Vu. Shock Therapy is going to take on Jailbird. War Wizard is going to face off against Stinger Unleashed. Disney XD is going to take on Nitro Menace. And closing out round one, we got Taurus taking on 106.7, the Fox. A few trucks that have been here already in the past and coming to throw down and potentially do better this time. Here's one on your left here, MonsterMut. Last time we saw the Kohler version of MonsterMut, it fell off of starting elevation and was unable to continue. Rzone Defender is a truck that does semi-well on this track, just unable to grab a qualification yet, but he's looking for it tonight as they are neck and neck over the Jackrabbit here. Rzone Defender comes out on top though. Heading into our first turn of the night. Both of these trucks looking good. MonsterMut taking it nice and tight around that little dome that is there to kind of throw these trucks for a loop in that first turn, whether you're sliding off of it or your back tire catches some grip hanging off of it and sets you up on the sidewalls. That little dome is there to just upset the truck a little bit and give you just a little bit of a challenge coming through our first turn. Defender still holding the lead on MonsterMut here as we head down the ski hill for the first time tonight. Rzone Defender, as I mentioned, has been here quite a few times. We've seen a plain MonsterMut quite a few times. We've seen multiple versions of the plain MonsterMut on this track, trying to get qualified for Season 2. But we haven't seen MonsterMut, the Kohler version, quite as many times as we've seen that monster truck named Rzone Defender in trouble there, heading into the bridge. Or into the tunnel, excuse me. Already off to a little bit of a rocky start here for commentating, but MonsterMut up and through that elevated turn, nice and clean. Defender fighting for his spot here. Is he going to be able to come back? I doubt it, as MonsterMut is already heading into that final turn. Solid pass this time around from MonsterMut. Definitely needs to get some speed down and tighten up the screws on the Jackrabbit, because that's what set him off a little crooked early and made him fall behind Defender. But it is MonsterMut heading into round two tonight, our first opponent into our second round. They're going to head back up to the pits now and get ready for round two. But next race of round one, we got Thunder Chicken here taking on FastMetal. This is the first time we've seen either one of these trucks, and Thunder Chicken, of course, an Indy truck. We'll see how he does on this track. I've never seen him on the channel. I haven't even driven him that much outside of the channel. So we'll see how he does here, taking on the track for the first time. Big step for this truck. FastMetal nicely done. Both trucks looking good on the downside of the Jackrabbit and trying to clear that gap. It's Thunder Chicken getting a nice clean landing. FastMetal makes up some time in the turn as Thunder Chicken tries to hold his spot here and keep that gap from getting a little too big here between the two trucks. Looking for the double roller here. Who's going to have a better downside? FastMetal gets it done beautifully. Thunder Chicken comes up just a little short, which sets him up short, getting onto starting elevation. Can Thunder Chicken make up the ground on FastMetal, making his debut appearance here on the channel? I don't know. FastMetal breezing right through the bridge. Thunder Chicken getting into a little bit of trouble there. We'll see how he handles the transfers. FastMetal gets it done beautifully. Thunder Chicken coming up short. Gets kicked onto the nose, but manages to keep the chassis off of the roof of the tunnel. Nicely done. I mean, that's something that you can't necessarily always control. If you get too big of a bounce, you're going to end up either in the wall or in the roof. FastMetal already halfway through that elevated turn as Thunder Chicken goes long to low there through the gap. Comes a little squirrely through the elevated turn as well, trying to get that truck settled down and over the finish line, but FastMetal beats him to and through that final turn, up and over the triple and to the finish line. FastMetal is moving on to round 2 here in our first bracket of the night. Thunder Chicken done. Maybe he'll be able to come back and get another shot and do a bit better with a little bit of experience on the track, but tonight is not his night. Unfortunate break for sure for Thunder Chicken. We'll see if he can come back at some point. Terminal Velocity coming back once again on your right, taking on Superman on your left. And this is that World Finals 14 Zimmer version of Superman. We'll see how he does here on this track. Zimmer versus Zimmer here in round 1. Who's going to take it? Terminal Velocity has struggled on this track. Look at the air from Superman. Hard hit on the tailgate. Throws him off there in the first straight. Terminal Velocity off to an early lead. He's never made it past round 1 in our qualifying events so far, so we'll see if Terminal Velocity can do that here tonight, or if Superman is going to end up coming out on top here as he tries desperately to get up and next to Terminal Velocity here through the slalom. Terminal Velocity looking good here on the first floor. Between the two, he does have more experience on the track. Superman comes up short there on the double roller, which just kind of slows him down even more, just expanding that gap between him and Terminal Velocity just a little bit more. We'll see how Terminal Velocity handles the bridge here. Kind of gets a little caught up on those cars. Superman, I would say, was a little smoother, but he took a slower approach, which doesn't really help him as far as gaining on Terminal Velocity. Looking for the transfers there. Superman, I would say, was a lot cleaner. A lot less bounce on that landing as opposed to Terminal Velocity. And they're neck and neck over the roller here, heading to the gap. Who's going to get a better launch? Terminal Velocity going long to low there. Superman gets a beautiful landing on that elevated turn. We'll see if he can hold this lead on Terminal Velocity until the end. He does clip the launch ramp coming out of the chicane, but he holds that lead into the final turn. He's all over the place, getting up on 2 wheels, hiking up that inside side of the truck. But it doesn't matter here in round 1. Superman up and over the finish line. He'll be moving on to round 2. And that just shows Pops taking out his son here in round 1. Not going to happen when you take on Pops in that Superman truck. Terminal Velocity down here in round 1. Jetix getting into some trouble there already. Hasn't even gotten to the starting line, and he's already getting up on 2 wheels. He's going to be taking on Deja Vu, though, here in round 1. Staged and ready to go. We're going green. Up and over the step up. Who is going to take it here tonight? Jetix or Deja Vu? Big slap wheelie from Deja Vu. Jetix an early lead, but Deja Vu comes back with a great downside on that Jackrabbit. Coming around that first turn, it is Deja Vu holding the lead. Jetix with a solid turn. I was scared he was going to be a bit top heavy, and there it is coming through here on the slalom. These trucks need to be careful. They are a bit top heavy, and switching from side to side like that just causes the sway to knock that truck up onto the sidewalls. But Deja Vu, a beautiful downside. Jetix not too bad himself, but is still behind Deja Vu. Those moments getting up on the sidewalls not helping him here in round one. Deja Vu just nice and clean so far. We'll see if he can keep this up. One of the last times we saw him, he ended up going over in the first turn of I believe it was the semifinals that we saw him do that. Nicely done through the transfer into the tunnel, though. Jetix getting a solid one. A little bit of a bounce there, but trying to keep that thing going. Deja Vu bouncing all over the place, heading through the dip. It's going to go long to low. Oh, kind of overshoots along the low there. Gets a hard hit on the front end, but he's still holding that lead on Jetix as Jetix gets a nice little accidental stoppy there, trying to get that truck settled down. And it is going to be Deja Vu moving on to round two if he can get that truck settled down. He's up against the wall. Can he get back on track before Jetix gets there? He does, just barely. Deja Vu up and over the triple and headed to the finish line. He's going to be moving on to round two tonight, knocking out Jetix here in round one. Jetix done. Second time we've seen Jetix on this track, just a different version this time around. Unable to get it done here in round one. We'll see if Jetix can come back again before our qualifying window is done. We are about halfway through. And as we move on with the rest of our night here, Shock Therapy's coming out next on your right, taking on Jailbird. All season last season we saw Jailbird on that Custom Chaos Tour, was throwing it down, unable to get into the, whoa, nice, taking a Sonic Heroes approach to the step up there on Jailbird's side. Jailbird was unable to make it into the World Finals. She wants a qualification this time around to see if she can get into the World Finals and kind of avenge herself and do better than she did last season. Not that she did too bad. I believe she just missed the points for qualification into the World Finals. So we'll see if she can get it done this time around and get a qualification into Season 2. Shock Therapy's looking for it too, though. So it can go either way here in round one. Shock Therapy has the experience on Jailbird. Jailbird an early lead, though. It's looking good over there on your left. Shock Therapy trying to fight for his spot here in round one, trying to get into round two. But Jailbird is just too clean and too smooth through this first floor. Looking for a transfer. She does come up short. Big bounce. Getting that truck upset. Amsoil Shock Therapy, the experience paying off here in the tunnel. Coming back with a big lead on Jailbird, heading down to the bottom floor. Looking for a gap. Shock Therapy gonna nail it, try to clear it. Gets it done pretty well. Unable to get the perfect landings on Shock Therapy's end. We don't know about Jailbird, but she is too far behind to make a difference at this point unless there's a big slip from Shock Therapy in this final turn. Shock Therapy is out real wide. Jailbird cuts it nice and tight, but it is Shock Therapy through the turn first and headed to the finish line. Shock Therapy moves on to round two, leaving Jailbird in the dust here in round one. Nicely done. What a pass from Shock Therapy. A little slow on the first half, but as we got down to the second floor, it's that slow and steady approach that kind of pays off here. Sometimes your opponent just goes a bit too big and bites off more than they can chew, getting himself into some trouble. Here's another first for us. Stinger Unleashed on your left, taking on War Wizard, a classic War Wizard. I believe the 2004 version of War Wizard with that Willman chassis. We'll see who comes out on top here in round one as we launch over the step up to get things started. Big bounce from War Wizard, sending him a bit sideways there, but he gets a beautiful pass over the Jackrabbit. Stinger not too bad himself, still holding that lead on War Wizard here early on this race. Stinger, beautiful turn. War Wizard not too bad himself, just a bit too far behind to make a difference. Really spinning those tires, trying to get through the turn here. Stinger Unleashed, trying to hold that gap on War Wizard, but War Wizard is nice and clean through most of the slalom. Making up ground on Stinger big time here. Big bounce heading up on the starting elevation. That hurts him, and down onto the roof. War Wizard is done. Stinger Unleashed heading to the finish line. We'll see if he can make it there all the way and through that finish line. Coming down onto the first floor once again. We'll see how Stinger takes the transfer for his first time around on this track. Not too bad, keeping it relatively controlled. Heading through the tunnel there, getting up onto two wheels for just a second before setting it down. Not too bad. Some of these trucks are coming out on their first pass and really showing out here and doing well. A little long to low, just keeping it safe, trying to get to the finish line, struggling to get that truck turned here in that elevated turn. Interesting. Coming out of the chicane and headed to the final turn, Stinger Unleashed is headed into round 2. What a great truck to be heading into round 2. Definitely would not mind this truck making it into season 2. We'll see if he can get it done tonight or if he'll have to come back another time. It's looking good for him here in round 1. Beautiful slap wheelie and a pass into round 2 tonight. See him again in just a little bit. He's going to head back up to the pits, check out his truck, make sure he's good to go for round 2, and we're going to get on with our next race of the night. Disney XD coming out next on your right, taking on Nitro Menace. Interesting, we got Jetix and Disney XD, and we got Jailbird and Nitro Menace. We'll see who comes out on top here with Nitro Menace and Disney XD as we head up and over the step up, getting things started here. Big nosedive for Nitro Menace, managing to keep it off the roof. Nicely done, but struggling over the Jackrabbit. Disney XD not struggling at all through that Jackrabbit. Beautifully done, nice downside. Comes up a little short on the gap, but gets it done. He leads heading into the slalom as Nitro Menace tries to catch up. Big slide for Disney XD though. Nicely done for Nitro Menace, making up some ground on Disney XD. It's not enough to grab the lead, but if you can creep up from behind, slowly but surely you will get there. It's a long race. There's a lot of opportunities to make up some ground. Disney XD holding that lead on Nitro Menace. We'll see how he handles the cars here on the bridge. Beautifully done. Big hit on the front end though. That slows him down for sure with that wheelie. Nitro Menace just making up the ground. Slow and steady approach here, just like Jailbird's opponent, Shock Therapy. We'll see if Nitro Menace can stick it out as it's neck and neck here onto the bottom floor. Nitro Menace a slight lead heading into the gap. Nitro Menace looking to clear it. Solid landing, gets kicked up on the front end, little crooked, gets it down and controls it. Disney XD gets through it nice and relatively clean compared to Nitro Menace, but just doesn't have it in him here tonight. Nitro Menace the first one into the final turn, and it's not going to happen for Disney XD. Nitro Menace over the triple and to the finish line. We'll be seeing him again in round 2. Nicely done avenging your daughter here in round 1. Nitro Menace on to the next one. Disney XD, unfortunate break. I believe this is the first time we've seen Disney XD this time, unless it was the opposite, unless we used the higher quality version first for Disney XD, but I honestly cannot tell you, could not remember. Taurus coming out next on your right, taking on 106.7, the Fox. Now, we just saw him last episode. We'll see if he can make it past the first round this time. I mean, that's his biggest struggle, unable to make it out of round 1. Taurus with an early lead here up and over the Jackrabbit. Big slap wheelie from 106.7, the Fox. Gonna go long to low. Now that's interesting. That kicks him back onto the tailgate. Does get a save, but he is too far behind here on the first floor to really do anything about it yet. We'll see how he handles the bottom floor and a big slide in the first turn. It looks like he might not make it out of round 1 once again. We'll see if Taurus makes a big mistake here in this first round race, but I don't know, man. He's looking solid with that lead, and pressure's pretty much off at this point for him. We'll see if he can hold it together or if he gets a little too cocky, a little, ahead of himself. 106.7, the Fox trying to get it done here, trying to come back and make up some ground on Taurus, but it is just such a big gap between the two, and Taurus gets cocky. Blows the right front, trying to get the truck down on all 4 BKTs. Manages to do it, but he is wasting a lot of time. 106.7, the Fox manages to get a great transfer, a little sloppy through the tunnel though. But Taurus, that tire is slowing him down. It reinflates, he's good to go. Can he hold the lead on 106.7, the Fox? Fox is going for it. Now he has a flat right front. Taurus goes long to low, keeping that truck safe. Can he fight and grab the top spot once again? He does. Heading into the final turn, it's Taurus with the lead. Wow. What a way to blow your only chance at a win here in round one. 106.7, the Fox ends round one with a wild save if he can get it. Nicely done, nice save. An exciting end to the first round, but that is it. No! Oh man. Down goes 106.7, the Fox. Taurus moves on to round two. Let's take a look at this round two bracket here. MonsterMut is going to take on FastMetal. Superman is going to take on Deja Vu. Shock Therapy will take on Stinger Unleashed. And Nitro Menace is going to take on Taurus to close out round two. Now, there's a couple trucks here that I would love to see move on to the semifinals, but we'll just have to wait and see if it happens for them here tonight and if it's their lucky night. Getting things started here with MonsterMut coming out on your right, taking on FastMetal. Both trucks staged and ready to go to kick off round two, and we're going green. Up and over the step up, it is MonsterMut with an early lead here. FastMetal makes up the ground though instantly off of that step up. We'll see if he can hold it here in this first gap of the race. Nicely done, beautiful landing from MonsterMut. FastMetal gets a little kick off the nose and kind of gets into trouble there in the first turn, managing to hold up with MonsterMut though. Can MonsterMut fight him off and keep this lead for the entire race? I don't know. We got to see how it goes here as they come out of the slalom. It's MonsterMut first up and over the double roller. Beautifully done from both trucks. Oh, FastMetal trying to keep it up onto starting elevation here. MonsterMut just expanding his lead, getting the opportunity to just keep pushing and get a little farther into the lead. FastMetal kind of slow through the cars. Can he get on the gas here and control it through the tunnel? MonsterMut gets an awkward bounce, keeps it under control though. Beautiful transfer into the tunnel, but a bounce off the wall. FastMetal's going over into the holographic crowd here. Down goes FastMetal, and that one hurt, man. That sucks. FastMetal done. MonsterMut getting a free ride into the semifinals. We'll see how he does here through the final turn as he has the rest of the lap to practice and get prepped for round three, our semifinals tonight. MonsterMut up and over the triple, beautifully done, way overshooting it, still getting a little bit of a downside on the very end of it, but beautifully done. Great pass from MonsterMut. Worked on it from round one, managed to keep that truck under control, get a nice, clean, relatively fast pass, and I like it. I'm liking what I'm seeing from MonsterMut tonight. Superman coming out next on your right. He's going to be taking on Deja Vu on your left. We'll see who can come out on top here in your second race of round two. Superman knocked out his own son in round one. We'll see if he can do it to Deja Vu here in round two, launching off of that starting line and headed onto the first floor. Big nose dive from Deja Vu, beautifully landed though. As we head up and over the Jackrabbit, it's Superman who comes off cleaner, grabs a very slight lead here. Deja Vu with a better downside. But Superman out of the turn first. What a turn here on the first floor for Superman. About neck and neck here through the slalom though. Who is going to come out on top as we head on to starting elevation? Deja Vu a slight lead. Superman comes up short again. Beautifully done onto the starting elevation for Deja Vu. It's a tight race though. It could go either way at any point in this race. Deja Vu gets kicked a little sideways. Superman relatively cleaner than Deja Vu. Let's see who gets a better transfer here. Superman airing it out. Look at that. Beautiful landing. A perfect transfer. Deja Vu bounces off the wall in the tunnel. Superman is heading into our semifinals. If he could just get across that finish line, we'll see how he does here. He absolutely launches over the gap. Nearly a perfect landing on that elevated turn. And getting it done. Superman on to the next one tonight. Heading into this final turn. Wow, look at how tight that turn was. A little slow on the exit, but that was potentially one of the tightest turns we've seen on this track. Whether it would have done well against a, equally fast opponent, I don't know, but that was a great turn, beautifully done, nice and controlled all the way through. Superman moving on to the semifinals here tonight. Stinger Unleashed coming out next on your left, taking on Amsoil Shock Therapy. Both of these two had great passes in round one. The only difference here between the two is Amsoil Shock Therapy has been here more than Stinger Unleashed. We'll see if Shock Therapy can use that experience here in round two, or if it's going to be Stinger Unleashed getting that beginner's luck here on the Spin Master Showdown track. Stinger getting a little bit of a wheelie. Still nailing it, getting a pretty solid downside on the gap here on the first floor. Shock Therapy getting a perfect landing, and it's neck and neck as we head into the slalom. Stinger Unleashed with an early lead here up and over the double rollers, made up some ground in the slalom. We'll see if he can hold this lead on Shock Therapy, as they're still just about neck and neck as we head into the ski hill. Nice leap from both trucks, nice and smooth from Shock Therapy, but it's Stinger Unleashed who clips the center divide. Shock Therapy grabs the lead once again, nice leap into the tunnel. Stinger Unleashed looking for a transfer, kind of gets kicked up on the sidewalls, but keeps it controlled, but loses it coming out of the tunnel. Trying to be fast, just kicks him out a little too far sideways, and it doesn't happen for him. We'll see if Shock Therapy can hold this lead as he's gaining a lead with Stinger Unleashed going long to low there through the gap on the bottom floor. Amsoil Shock Therapy leading, heading into the final turn. It's gonna happen. Shock Therapy out a little wide, but it doesn't matter. He's heading into the semifinals tonight. Grabbing our third spot, one spot left. Who is gonna take it in our next race is the question. Amsoil Shock Therapy moving on tonight. Another slap wheelie from Stinger Unleashed, but that is not gonna bring him back here tonight. Unfortunate break, but that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, man. You can't win them all. Can't win them all. Taurus coming out next on your left. He's gonna be taking on Nitro Menace. Very curious who's going to come out on top in this one. Neither one of these two had the greatest pass in round one. Nitro Menace kept it consistent and solid the entire pass, though. Just using that, that slow and steady-ish approach. We'll see if he can use it here once again. Taurus, we'll see if he can keep all tires inflated here through to the finish line. Both of them getting solid landings there in the first gap here on the first floor. See how they do through the slalom. It's about neck and neck. I mean, they're going nowhere. Keeping right up with each other here. Nitro Menace does have a slight lead, but Taurus really working to keep him close. He wants to take advantage of any slip that Nitro Menace has. Beautiful downside from Nitro Menace on the double roller. Taurus getting kind of kicked a little crooked there, trying to get back up onto starting elevation, which does slow him down and widen that gap between him and Nitro Menace. Nitro Menace kind of slow over the cars. Taurus trying to keep it off of that center divide. Does manage to do so, but he is struggling here on the first floor. Nitro Menace just expanding that gap. Can he hold it until the end of the race? Will there be a mistake from Nitro Menace? No, from Taurus. What a great save, but it doesn't matter. He's too far behind here on the bottom floor. Nitro Menace is headed to the final turn. Heading into and through this final turn, Nitro Menace, a little slingshot action here, headed over the triple and over the finish line. Nitro Menace moves on and grabs that final spot in the semifinals. Taurus just not enough here tonight, and a rough roll in the dip here on the bottom floor just compounds that and just makes it a little worse for him. Unable to do it tonight. We'll see if he can come back at some point and get it done. He was looking solid in round one. If it weren't for a flat tire thanks to a clip on the wall in the tunnel. Might have been able to pull something out tonight. MonsterMut gonna come out in the semifinals, taking on Superman. And Shock Therapy is gonna take on Nitro Menace. Down at the bottom of the semifinals, we'll see who will come out on top and grab our only 2 final spots in our first bracket. Only 2 can move on. We're gonna get things started here with MonsterMut taking on Superman. An interesting race here to get us started, and we're going green. MonsterMut, an early lead over the step up there, but Superman comes back, and it's neck and neck over the Jackrabbit. Superman getting kicked sideways there, having to let that truck settle down and get under control before he gets back on the gas. You need to keep it safe and stay off those dumpsters. If you clip those dumpsters head on, you risk being shut off, and you risk just having to get that truck backed up and hurting your pass overall. So you don't want to go into the dumpsters. You don't want to go into the crowd. You want to be as straight as possible heading over the gap. And it is MonsterMut who did better at that, and a beautiful downside from both trucks this time. Around that starting elevation turn, MonsterMut just holding that lead on Superman. It is looking good for Kohler's MonsterMut right now. Superman trying to catch up here. Oh, MonsterMut a little crooked, and yes, he's gonna roll it in the tunnel. It did not work out for him with that bounce. Superman heading to the finish line. We'll see if he can keep that truck on all fours until the finish line, but he's going for the gap here. Solid landing, beautifully done. Heading around that elevated turn and to the finish line. Superman gets it done here tonight. It's looking good for him in the finals. I mean, he does have that final spot if he can just get across this finish line, which is obviously looking great for him tonight. He's shown no sign of struggle getting to the finish line. It's looking good for him tonight. I don't think anyone's going to be able to match that leap onto that elevated turn. So if he can hold it together and do that once again in the final round, he has a really good shot at getting into the Season 2 qualifications. Amsoil Shock Therapy coming out next, though, taking on Nitro Menace. This is the first time we've seen Nitro Menace on this track, and he's doing great. He's up into the semifinals. But can he fight off Shock Therapy? That experience has paid off for him all night tonight. Can it pay off again here in the semis? Nitro Menace absolutely airing it out. Big slap wheelie, which slows him down. Heading into the Jackrabbit is Shock Therapy with an early lead. Great landings on the downside from both trucks. It's Amsoil Shock Therapy holding the early lead, though. Nicely done. It's about neck and neck. Amsoil Shock Therapy just expanding that gap a little bit, or holding that gap, I should say. But Nitro Menace is doing great at coming back. It's about neck and neck here as we head through the starting elevation turn. Shock Therapy is going to be the first one up onto the bridge, but anything could happen here. They're at that point where it's so close. Any mistake on either side is a decision maker. Who is going to take it? Looking for a transfer into the tunnel. I would say Nitro Menace was a bit smoother, but Shock Therapy is right there with him. They are neck and neck, dead tie here, heading through the dip. He's going to get a better pass through the gap here. Nitro Menace going for it. Amsoil Shock Therapy going to come up short. It's Nitro Menace in trouble. Gets a save on the elevated turn, but it's Shock Therapy who was clean through the entire thing. Shock Therapy comes back, grabs a lead, and is headed first into this final turn. Nitro Menace not going to do it tonight. A great attempt, making it all the way up into the semifinals on his first pass here at the Spin Master Showdown, and it just doesn't happen for him tonight. Amsoil Shock Therapy grabs a final round spot. He's going to be taking on Superman. Now, funnily enough, it's Zimmer versus Zimmer once again, but this time he's battling himself here in the final round. Superman taking on Shock Therapy to close out our first bracket. Of course, we're going to have one more bracket, so stick around after we find our winner and our first qualifier of the night if you're new here, because we got one more to come After that, let's jump right into our final race here. Superman on your right is going to take on Shock Therapy on your left, and this is set to be a race. I can tell you that much. Both trucks staged and ready to go here on starting elevation, and we're going green for your final round. Up and over the step up to get us started. Two different approaches there from the Zimmer trucks. Amsoil Shock Therapy, beautiful downside, but same for Superman, but it's Amsoil Shock Therapy with the early lead. Nicely done from Shock Therapy, just holding that lead on Superman right now, but Superman could be playing the long game, the slow and steady game that we've seen pay off for a few trucks tonight. The only time he really needs to go super hard is the gap on the bottom floor. He needs to get a perfect landing if he wants to make a difference here on Amsoil Shock Therapy. They've been solid all night, both of these trucks. No! Superman goes into the dumpster in the finals. Can he make up the time? He's not too far behind to where he can't make up the time, but he really needs to go hard and have a solid pass. Amsoil Shock Therapy going for the transfer, does come up a little short there. Keeps it under control though. Superman looking for a transfer. Doing about the same approach, gets a big bounce though. That sends him nearly into the wall. Had to slow down to get that truck under control. Amsoil Shock Therapy holding the lead on Superman. Amsoil Shock Therapy in trouble, but sets it back down around the elevated turn and headed to the finish line. It's looking like it's Amsoil Shock Therapy in your final round tonight. Superman not gonna do it. Amsoil Shock Therapy headed over the triple. He is our first qualifier of the night into Season 2. We will be seeing him all season long, and if you want to vote to see which tour he gets placed on, head over to the RORSRPS Instagram. We got the biggest and baddest tour, the Indie Madness Tour, and the All-Star Challenge Tour featuring Team Thunder versus Team Mayhem. And this Saturday, you can vote on all of our qualifiers from this week, which tour they get placed on. Between those three, you do not want to miss it. Head over to the RORSRPS Instagram. I want to know your opinions, and you will dictate our tour placements. I mean, your votes. The majority wins. So if you're in the majority, you decided. you gave us our tour placements, and I love putting the power in your guys' hands. It's not up to me what tour they get put on. Of course, I do have my preferences, and I can get a little disappointed in your guys' choices. But I mean, I'm happy that you guys are voicing your opinions and participating, and that's all I want to see really. So head over to the RORSRPS Instagram. Vote for Amsoil Shock Therapy's tour placement this weekend, along with the rest of our qualifiers. And one last look at Amsoil Shock Therapy as we get prepped for our next bracket for the night. Spinning the wheel once again. Kamakazi is back with that Team Throttle chassis. MonsterMut, the CRD, is back once again. We'll see if MonsterMut can do it this time around. A World Finals commemorative truck is back this time. We'll see what version I use here in a minute. Just Get Her Done is visiting once again, along with Earthshaker. We'll see if Earthshaker can do well once again, and if he can actually take a win this time around. Double Trouble, another truck that did well. See if he can do it once again. And Rzone Defender is back. We just saw him. Of course, a sub from Season 1. We'll see if he can make it into Season 2 as a main field competitor this time around. Hellhound. Now, we haven't seen Hellhound before. This is interesting. Cyclops. We've seen Cyclops, an awesome truck to have on the field or in the field. We'll see how he does tonight. Metal Militia, Werewolf Node Beam truck. Amsoil Shock Therapy has already taken a win. So has Excalibur. So teammates there heading into Season 2. So we're going to skip those. Elo Loco is an interesting one that we got this time around. We've never had on the track. We'll see how he does here at the Spin Master Showdown. We're going to shuffle this up 3 times to find our official lineup leading to our round 1 bracket here. And there it is, your official lineup for our second bracket of the night. Let's take a look at our matchups here. Rzone Defender is going to be taking on Megalodon. Double Trouble is going to take on Doomsday. World Finals 14 is going to be taking on Cyclops. Max D is going to be taking on Metal Militia. Just Get Her Done will face off against MonsterMut. Kamakazi will face off against Elo Loco. Earthshaker is going to take on Gravedigger. Mohawk Warrior will face off against Hellhound to finish out round 1. And this is going to be an interesting night. We got a lot of interesting trucks starting here with, of course, a truck that we just saw. We'll see if he can do better here in our second bracket. But Megalodon Neon, first time we're seeing this truck on the track and on this channel. We'll see how he does here in round 1 of racing as we go green. Now these two have different gearings, different brake setups, so they are going to handle completely different outside of just the way that the suspension handles. So Rzone Defender, an early lead here. Megalodon Neon going to come up a little short there on the gap on the first floor, unable to hit that top speed he needed here to really clear that thing. Rzone Defender, early lead as he heads through the slalom. We'll see if Megalodon Neon can make up some ground here on the first floor, or if it's a wrap for him already tonight. Rzone Defender up onto starting elevation first. Megalodon Neon not doing too bad of a job of getting up there. Just too far behind for it to make a difference here as of right now. We'll see if Rzone makes a mistake here on the bottom floor or in the tunnel, but Megalodon Neon getting into trouble on the bridge, almost going straight into that center divide. Looking for a transfer into the tunnel though. A little bit of a bounce. Just struggling to keep up with Rzone Defender. There is a gap between the two as far as gearing goes. There's just Rzone is a little too quick to accelerate and get up to top speed. Megalodon Neon trying his best here, but it's not gonna happen for his first attempt on this track. We'll see if he can come back at some point and put down a better performance. But Rzone Defender getting past round 1 this time around. Up and over the triple and headed to the finish line. We'll see Rzone Defender in round 2. Megalodon Neon, an unfortunate break, but we will not see him again tonight. He is done for tonight, Tuesday night. How's you guys' Tuesday night going? Let me know down below in the comments. If you're enjoying tonight's show, it's been a fun one for me so far. I'm enjoying it. Go ahead and hit that like button for me if you really enjoy it. We got more coming tomorrow. Doomsday coming out next on your left, taking on Double Trouble. Both of these trucks have been here before. Doomsday, of course, this time with a Werewolf Node Beam version. Double Trouble, that same V4. We'll see how he does here and if he can do well once again like he did before. Double Trouble, the first one to the Jackrabbit. Both of them kind of not getting the cleanest landing on the downside. Doomsday trying to keep up. We'll see how he does through the slalom. We know these Werewolf trucks do well in the slalom as opposed to the V4s. The V4s just slide a bit too much. They don't keep the grip like the Werewolves do. And it is Doomsday coming out of the slalom first. Double Trouble absolutely airing it out over the double roller. Not able to get a nice clean downside, which I mean isn't the worst thing, but it can get you into trouble trying to get back up onto starting elevation. Doesn't hurt him though, as he's in the lead heading in onto and through the bridge. Getting crooked here on that first floor though, giving Doomsday a chance to put the power down and try to catch up here. Nicely done through the tunnel from both trucks. Doomsday really putting down a solid pass through the tunnel. It's not really making much of a difference as far as Doomsday, as far as Double Trouble goes, though. Oh, nice save from Double Trouble, just keeping it off the nose there. Doomsday trying to get it done. Doesn't look like it's gonna happen though, unless Double Trouble rolls it in this final turn. Doomsday is looking like he's done. Yes, Double Trouble moving on to the second round tonight. We'll see him again very, very soon. Doomsday gonna have to come back and try again on another day. Unfortunate break. I know the Doomsday truck has a lot of fans on this channel. Maybe another time. He would be a great truck to have in season 2 for sure. But just didn't happen for him this time around. Heading into our next race, World Finals 14 commemorative truck is on your right, taking on Cyclops. Of course, I'd be rooting for Cyclops here in this race, but my opinion doesn't matter. We're gonna see who's gonna come out on top in a pretty fair race here. Up and over the step up. Nicely done for both trucks. Cyclops has an early lead into the Jackrabbit. Wow, look at these two. Both of them getting beautiful downside. Cyclops absolutely airing it out in that first gap here on the first floor. Both of them looking good through the slalom. This is actually a really great race so far. World Finals 14 is behind, but not by much, and makes up a little bit more ground coming out of the slalom, but gets crooked, having to stop the truck and get it adjusted. Cyclops in the lead now as we head down the ski hill. Nice leap up onto the bridge. Can he throw down a solid rest of this pass? Hold the lead on World Finals 14. Ooh, Cyclops gonna come up short there. Managing to keep it under control here in the tunnel. A rough pass through the tunnel, very squirrely through it. World Finals 14, nice and fast. Cyclops is all over the place here. Looks like he's gonna go for the gap too. Does come up just a little short. Solid though through the elevated turn. World Finals 14 getting it done with a nice leap over the gap on the bottom floor, but it's not gonna happen for him here in round one. Cyclops coming around that final turn in the lead and headed to the finish line. World Finals 14 is done. Cyclops on to round two tonight. Pretty solid pass. I mean, there's stuff he has to work on, but there's stuff every truck could work on this track. It's a tough one to get, 100% perfect. Superman had a great few passes last time around, but when it came to the final round, the pressure got to him. And sometimes that's what happened. But check this out. Max D Nitro on your right, taking on Metal Militia. That werewolf node beam truck. We'll see if a werewolf truck can knock out one of the Nitro neon trucks here in round one. We're going green. Off of that starting line, it's Max D with a slight early lead here, heading onto the first floor. But Metal Militia comes back, heading to the Jackrabbit. Max D makes up some ground here. He's crooked for the landing, though. Manages to get it under control. Metal Militia comes up just a little short on that gap there, but a great turn in that first turn for Metal Militia. They are neck and neck. Metal Militia may even have a slight lead here heading into the slalom, and as a werewolf truck, he's only going to get better for him as we head to the exit. Yeah, great lead for Metal Militia. Nice little bit of a downside there too. Max D struggling a little bit here on the getting up to starting elevation. Down the ski hill, Max D comes back and makes up some ground on Metal Militia, managing to grab a slight lead here as we head back down to the first floor. We're looking for a transfer now. Who's going to get a better one? About the same. So Max D just expands his lead here on Metal Militia. Can Metal Militia come back through the elevated turn? He's going to have to go long to low on the gap. Max D may be able to clear it, and he does. It's looking good. It's looking excellent for Max D right now. Coming around this elevated turn and heading through the chicane. Max D is headed to the final turn in the lead. It's looking like he has it on lock here in round one. Metal Militia getting a super crooked jump there across that across the jump. Going real sideways in the air heading into the final turn, but not going to happen for Metal Militia tonight. Max D Nitro on to round two. We'll see if he can keep the ball rolling in round two. I'd love to get a second Max D in season two. I need three Gravediggers and 3 Max Ds, 1 per tour. So we'll see what happens as the night goes on. MonsterMut coming out next on your left, taking on Just Get Her Done. It is that CRD MonsterMut. That thing pretty solid on this track. He has the good years on tonight. We'll see if those help him or if Just Get Her Done is going to knock him out here early in the night in round one. MonsterMut, an early lead as we head up and over the Jackrabbit. Beautiful landing from MonsterMut. Just Get Her Done struggling a little bit. I don't know if this version of the truck has been on the track before. He's not really throwing down like he has been. We'll see if that improves, or I don't know, man. Coming through the slalom, it is looking good for MonsterMut. Still Just keeping that truck nice and controlled. A little bit of a slide there, but not enough for Just Get Her Done to make a big difference and come back. But MonsterMut's going to come up a little short, so is Just Get Her Done. Both of them struggling here to get up onto starting elevation. Just Get Her Done, of course, coming out on the worst end of the stick here, as MonsterMut is the first one up onto the bridge. Beautifully done through the cars. It's looking good for the Mutts tonight. Maybe we could get a MonsterMut in Season 2 tonight. Seems like he has some room to improve here for sure. Ooh, a nice transfer for Just Get Her Done. Trying to make up some ground here, but MonsterMut is just too far ahead at this point. I don't know if it's going to happen. He's the first one through the elevated turn. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Just Get Her Done can throw down a solid pass, but unless there's a huge mistake from MonsterMut in the final turn, it's not going to happen for Just Get Her Done tonight. 2 MonsterMuts, 2 round 2 entries. We'll see if this MonsterMut can make it up into the final round this time around. As he heads up and over the finish line, he is on to round 2 as Just Get Her Done finally gets across. He is done, and maybe he'll be back soon to give it another shot, and potentially he'll do better. I don't know, man. It wasn't a bad pass when it got down to the bottom floor. He just wasn't able to keep up on the first floor, which fell too far behind. Check this out. Elo Loco on your left, taking on Kamakazi. Of course, this is a brand new body that we haven't seen before of Kamakazi, but it is on that same chassis, same gearing, same node. So we'll see how he does here, facing off against the the cabbage. That's the word that I'm looking for. Up and over the Jackrabbit is pretty neck and neck here, heading up and over the gap. Beautiful landing. I mean, almost like a mirror the way they took those landings. Elo Loco getting real spun sideways there, coming out of that first turn, but a nice, I mean, they're neck and neck here through the slalom, so it didn't hurt them too much. It's looking good. Of course, this is the first time we're seeing Elo Loco debuting here on the RORSRPS channel, struggling to get onto starting elevation. Kamakazi has been here on this track before. This is just a new body debuting for us, but you know, he's been here before. Solid racer. Elo Loco nearly falling off the bridge there, but managing to keep it on all fours on the asphalt here. Kamakazi nicely done. Beautiful transfer into the tunnel. Not too bad from Elo Loco either, though. They are close here. I mean, they're not close, but I mean, their approaches are close. They got great passes through the tunnel. Kamakazi, first one onto the elevated turn, trying to let that truck settle there so he doesn't end up upside down. Elo Loco gets a better landing, arguably, I would say. He's just too far behind to really do anything about it. Kamakazi heading into that final turn. And it looks like Kamakazi is on to round 2 tonight. Not going to happen for Elo Loco for round 1, for his debut event. I mean, that's to be expected, though. I mean, we've had a few trucks come through on their first attempt and make it into Season 2. But it's not, I don't know. I wouldn't expect it. I wouldn't look at a first-time truck and say that truck's going to make it. But anything can happen. It all just depends on the day. Gravedigger coming out next on your left, taking on Earthshaker, an early version of Gravedigger here on your left. Looks like maybe Gravedigger 14. I'm not sure. I don't remember which version I used for this, but I believe it is Gravedigger 14. Getting another shot here on this track. And early lead on Earthshaker. But Earthshaker gets arguably a better landing on the Jackrabbit. It's neck and neck, though. It doesn't matter. They are nearly a dead tie here heading into this first turn. Earthshaker, a very slight lead heading into the slalom, but we've talked about this before with Gravedigger 14. There is a smaller wheelbase on that thing, so that may help him here in the slalom. And as he is the first one out, it's neck and neck. Digger was the first one out of the slalom, though. It seemed to have helped them quite a bit here. Earthshaker manages to get a nicer turn there through that starting elevation turn. Gravedigger just out a bit too wide due to getting sent sideways. Earthshaker, a lead. No! Gravedigger comes back once again on the bridge. It's looking like Gravedigger wants a spot in Season 2. Can we get 2 Gravediggers qualified this week? Oh my goodness, no we cannot. That is a hard hit straight into the cab, onto the roof of the tunnel here. Earthshaker heading to the gap. He is free and clear to grab a win. He's going to go long to low just to, take some time and keep that truck safe here on the bottom floor. It's just a practice pass at this point, but he is heading into round 2 if he can get across that finish line. What a final turn from the World Finals 22 racing champion. We'll see if he can become a racing champion tonight and our next Season 2 qualifier as we move on to round 2. He's going to head back up to the pits, and we're going to get a look at our next race here for tonight to get us closer to round 2. Hellhound is going to come out next on your left to take on Mohawk Warrior. We've seen Mohawk Warrior quite a few times on this track. We have not seen this version of Mohawk Warrior, though. We'll see how he does here as we go green to finish out round 1. Hellhound. No, neck and neck. I was going to say Hellhound an early lead. Mohawk Warrior gets an awkward bounce, though. Hellhound comes back as Mohawk Warrior has to come up short in the gap. Hellhound doing great. Nice early lead on Mohawk Warrior through the slalom. How's he going to do through the double roller? Perfect landing on the downside. Mohawk Warrior not bad himself. Doing a great job of making an effort to get back up near the leader of this race right now. Can Mohawk Warrior stick it out to the end? Hellhound doing great on this track. Can he hold out in the lead till the end? Looking for a transfer into the tunnel. Does come up just a little short, but that's not too short though. I mean, it's a nice way to keep that truck controlled. Whereas Mohawk Warrior nearly got a really good transfer. Comes up short as well. Hellhound gonna come up just a little short on that elevated turn. He's out wide in the elevated turn, drops the tire off and spins as Mohawk Warrior tries to get a save. And I mean, that was his opportunity to come back and make up some ground. But thanks to his, rough landing on the elevated turn, it's not gonna happen for him. Hellhound through the final turn and up and over the triple, headed to the finish line. Hellhound closes out round 1 with a win and an advancement into round 2 tonight. Not going to happen for Mohawk Warrior once again. It's not looking good for the Mohawk Warrior team this time around. Last season we had Mohawk Warrior fire all season 1. Mohawk Warrior out here in round 2 in the qualifier. Or in round 1, excuse me. For round 2, we got Rzone Defender taking on Double Trouble. Cyclops is going to face off against Max D Nitro. MonsterMut is going to take on Kamakazi, and Earthshaker will face off against Hellhound. I gotta say, the race to watch could be between our first and last race of the round here. I mean, Rzone Defender versus Double Trouble is going to come out first, but our last race, Hellhound versus Earthshaker, could be a pretty solid one too. As we head into our first race of round 1, Rzone Defender on your right, Double Trouble on your left. Nicely done over the step up for both trucks. Kind of flat landing on that downside ramp. Rzone Defender an early lead as we head over the gap here on the first floor. Rzone Defender coming up first to the slalom, but a little bit of a bobble in that first turn. Double Trouble grabs a lead here, but it is neck and neck as Rzone Defender is not giving up that lead. Double Trouble comes out of the slalom first, but Rzone Defender is just waiting for a slip. Great turn from both trucks. Double Trouble holding that lead on Rzone Defender. Not much Defender can do about Double Trouble's lead at the moment. He can just stick with him and give it all he's got here to try and be there when there is a Double Trouble slip. Double Trouble getting close to the wall, having to get that truck settled down. Rzone Defender, a great pass through the tunnel. It's neck and neck now as we head to the gap. Double Trouble does maintain a very slight lead. Rzone Defender going long to low. Double Trouble getting into trouble though. Around the elevated turn, it's going to be neck and neck. Double Trouble gets into more trouble coming out of the chicane. Now it is a dead tie heading into this final turn. Over the triple, it is close. Rzone Defender hits the ground first and gets across the finish line first, getting his power down to the ground before Double Trouble does. And Rzone Defender makes it happen here in round 2, knocking out Double Trouble. Rzone Defender really desperate to be a season 2 competitor, thanks to his season 1 substitution. He did pretty well. I mean, he was one of our early subs. I believe he was there for Detroit, which means he was week 3 on the Sponsor Showdown Tour. He managed to be a substitute and did pretty well. We'll see how Max D Nitro does here, taking on Cyclops for round 2. Both of them getting a little slap wheelie here. It's Cyclops who leads first over the Jackrabbit, but Max D with a better downside. He does make up some ground. Can he make up more and pass Cyclops here in the first floor? Cyclops still holding that lead heading into the slalom, but it's Max D who keeps it controlled through the first turn. Cyclops lets a big slide catch him out and lets him fall behind. Max D, nice downside. Cyclops, beautiful downside as well. Who is going to come out on top by the end of this race? It could go either way still. Cyclops is kind of in that sweet spot still where anything can happen to Max D and Cyclops can capitalize on it. Max D nice and smooth through the cars on the bridge. Same for Cyclops, but he goes into that center divide, which sets him crooked. Max D's in trouble. I didn't even notice. Cyclops, a little bit of a lead here, but Max D comes through the tunnel quicker. It's neck and neck kind of onto the bottom floor. Cyclops, a very slight lead heading into the gap. And you know this is a decision maker for Max D. He's going to clear it whether Cyclops does or not. Yes, Max D, great landing, great turn through this elevated turn. It is neck and neck coming around that launch ramp in the chicane. Cyclops got into some trouble, clipping it. Max D in the lead. Cyclops goes over. Max D is moving on to the semifinals tonight. Cyclops is done. Manages to get back on all fours, but unable to grab a win here in round 2. Cyclops out for the night. We'll see if he can come back and grab a season 2. Nice little celebration donut there from Max D. We'll see if he can come back and do better than round 2 next time. But Max D moves on to the semifinals tonight. Kamakazi coming out next on your left, taking on MonsterMut. Both of these trucks did well. Obviously, they are here in round 2, but both of them did well in round 1. We'll see if they can keep it up, or who can keep it up better here in round 2. MonsterMut already breaking that tail. We'll see if that helps him or hurts him here as he takes on a tough truck to beat, to be honest. We'll see if MonsterMut can keep it together, taking on Kamakazi. Kamakazi off to an early lead and a nice entry into the slalom. Just expands that a little bit. MonsterMut trying to keep up and make up some ground here. Taking a nice, slow, controlled approach there. Not too much sliding. It's pretty neck and neck as we head through the double rollers. Both trucks getting a downside on it. We'll see who can come out of the starting elevation turn first. It's about neck and neck here. I mean, it's pretty dead even onto the bridge. MonsterMut down onto the first floor first. Who's going to get a better transfer, though, is a solid question that could be on everyone's mind. MonsterMut nice and clean through it. Kamakazi fighting to get back up into the lead, doing everything he can, but MonsterMut just getting a great pass this time around. Ooh, MonsterMut, big hit on the front end. Kamakazi, big hit on the rear. Sets him up onto the nose. MonsterMut out wide, slides in the rear end. Kamakazi, oh, wheelie down the straightaway. Kamakazi with a slight lead heading into the final turn. Well, not so much a slight lead, but MonsterMut had a chance to gain ground there when Kamakazi was trying to settle that truck down, but it doesn't happen for MonsterMut here tonight. Kamakazi into our semifinals, grabbing that third spot. I wonder who is going to take on Kamakazi in the semifinals between Hellhound and Earthshaker. This is going to be a difficult race to call here up on the starting elevation. We're just going to have to watch and see how it goes. Earthshaker on your right, taking on Hellhound, staged and ready to go, and we're going green for your final race of the semis. Big leap from Earthshaker. Hellhound taking a more, I mean, he doesn't take a rollover approach, but, you know, a lower and slower approach than Earthshaker. But Earthshaker has a nice early lead here heading over the first gap. Hellhound gets sent kind of crooked into the first turn, having to let that truck get adjusted. He falls behind just a little bit more, but Earthshaker could fall behind at any moment from what we've seen from all of our competitions on this track so far. Earthshaker, the first one up and through the double roller. Beautiful downside. Hellhound not too bad himself, but he gets really tight on those dumpsters. He's going to have to realign again, letting Earthshaker take a lead, or expand the lead, really. Up onto the bridge, through the cars nicely for Earthshaker. Hellhound not doing too bad himself. He's just too far behind to do anything about Earthshaker's lead at the moment. Hellhound looking for a transfer. Beautifully done. A beautiful transfer, a bit rough through the tunnel, but a great transfer. It's looking like Earthshaker might have this one if he can just get a smooth landing on the elevated turn. Big bounce. Not as big of a bounce, I would say, from Hellhound, but similar. And it's looking like it's going to be Earthshaker. A great pass through the chicane. Earthshaker first one into the final turn. Oh, but he spins out. Hellhound comes from behind in that sweet spot, up and over the triple and headed to the finish line. Hellhound is moving on to the semifinals. What a comeback story for Hellhound in the final turn. Wow. Nicely done. Just stick it out. Don't let their lead get to you. Just stick it out. Rzone Defender taking on Max D Nitro to get us started in the semifinals, while Kamakazi takes on Hellhound to close out the semifinals. Yeah, this is a tough semifinal round here, man. Especially that final race of the semifinals, Kamakazi versus Hellhound. I mean, both of these races could go either way, but that final race is just, I don't even know what to say, man. Rzone Defender on your right, taking on Max D, and we're launching off of that starting line, up and over the step up and onto the first floor. Max D absolutely airing it out, while Rzone Defender gets into a little bit of trouble. Oh no, Max D getting in trouble. We've seen him back up before. That hurt him too much last time we saw it. Is it going to hurt him too much tonight? Comes up short on the landing, gets an awkward bounce. It's looking like Rzone Defender is free and clear to grab a win here in the semis. Can Max D come back? I don't know. He's sliding a lot through the slalom. Rzone Defender not necessarily the smoothest either, but Max D, a big gap in front of him, between him and Rzone Defender right now. Defender heading down the ski hill and onto the bridge already. Max D fighting to make up some ground here. Nicely done from Rzone Defender. Max D doing well, keeping it off the center divide, keeping it under control. Rzone Defender gets a beautiful transfer, but he clips the wall. Rzone Defender is into the holographic crowd. That's 2 trucks tonight into the crowd. Max D Nitro is free and clear to grab a win here and move on to the finals. Is he gonna cross that finish line? Goes long to low in the gap. Might have overshot that roller heading to the gap. I did miss that. I was looking at Rzone Defender, but Max D, the only one running on this track around that final turn and headed to the triple. He's moving on to the final round tonight. Can we get our second Max D team truck into Season 2? We will find out very, very soon here as we head back up to the pits for Max D. And we get our look at our final competitors for the semifinals. Kamakazi taking on Hellhound. This is going to be a great race. I can tell you that much right now. We're about to go green to close out the semifinals. Neck and neck over the step up. Similar approaches as well. Both of them using that rollover kind of downside ramp on the back side of it. Kamakazi getting crooked. Hellhound might have a better landing here. Kamakazi gets a beautiful landing. Hellhound, not too bad himself. They're doing great here. Kamakazi an early lead, but Hellhound might have a strategy here through the slalom to come back. It's looking like he's making up a little bit of ground. And coming out of the double roller, he does make up ground, but not enough to grab a lead. Beautiful downside from Hellhound. Not perfect from Kamakazi, but not terrible. It is pretty neck and neck here. I mean, Hellhound is in that sweet spot once again. If there's a mistake, Hellhound is going to capitalize on it. And there it is right there. Kamakazi with a sky wheelie sets it down. But I don't know if that is going to be the decision maker. Kamakazi still has time. We still have half a lap to go. A whole bottom floor. And Kamakazi just got a perfect transfer into the tunnel. Hellhound is going to be the first one to take on the gap. But will it pay off? Hard hit on the front end. Big wheelie. Kamakazi gets up there and right there with them. They are pretty much neck and neck. Hellhound may have a slight lead. But we saw Earthshaker mess up in the final turn last round. Is Hellhound going to make a mistake? No. Hellhound just manages to get it done. He is over the triple and headed to the finish line. Kamakazi not far behind, but too far behind to grab the win tonight. Hellhound moves on to take on Max D Nitro in the final round. What a race from Hellhound, managing to get it done from behind to the lead and holding it to the end. Let's take a look at the full bracket tonight with all of our winners marked here. Max D is gonna be taking on Hellhound in your final round, and this could be another race, man. I mean, Kamakazi and Hellhound was quite a race, and this is the best of the best from this second bracket of the night. Hellhound versus Max D Nitro. Who is gonna come out on top? Max D on your right, Hellhound on your left. Ready to go green here for your final round of racing. Up and over the step up. Max D absolutely skying that thing once again. It seems to be working for him tonight. Not so much that, though. You don't want to really air it out that big on the Jackrabbit. Still, Max D holds a slight lead. That bounce might have slowed him down a little bit and let Hellhound get right there with him neck and neck. And yes, heading into the slalom, they are neck and neck. They are right there with each other as we get through it. Similar approaches as well. Ooh, big slide from Max D. Hellhound grabs the lead over the double roller. Comes up short though. Max D gets a beautiful downside and grabs the lead onto the first floor. This is a fast pass so far from Max D Nitro. He is going for it. He wants that Season 2 qualification. Does get crooked over the cars. Hellhound has a chance to make up a little bit of ground. But will he be able to make up more ground on the bottom floor? We will find out in a minute. Max D comes up a little short. So does Hellhound, though. Both of them quick through the tunnel, but it is Max D just solidifying his spot in the lead right now. Overshoots the gap, or overshoots the roller. Still goes for the gap, gets a hard hit on the front end. Hellhound going for a ride. Max D all over the place. And Hellhound is down. Max D Nitro is headed to Season 2 if he can get across the finish line tonight. Coming around that final turn, what a race from start to rollover. Hellhound keeping up with the man himself. Max D over the finish line, headed to Season 2. He's going to head back up to starting elevation. If you want to vote for what tour he gets placed on, head over to the RORSRPS Instagram. This Saturday, we'll be hosting tour placement votes for all of the qualifiers from this week. And you can place your votes, and if you're in the majority, your vote wins. Max D, look at that thing. That awesome Max D Nitro scheme. Headed back up for his glamour shot here. We'll be seeing him all season long on either the Biggest and Baddest Tour, the Indy Madness Tour, or the All-Star Challenge Tour featuring Team Thunder versus Team Mayhem. It is going to be wild, and I can't imagine a bigger team battle than the All-Star Challenge Tour. 10 events with all new custom tracks just for this tour, and it's going to be a lot of fun, man. Don't miss it. Max D heading into season 2. Thank you guys so much for watching and enjoying with me. I had a lot of fun tonight. We got 2 awesome new qualifiers. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, share with your friends if you think they'd enjoy it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more season 2 qualifier.